Everyone. Welcome to the Simplified Smart Home Connectivity with LoRaWAN Devices webinar organized by LoRa Alliance. My name is Andrew Chan. I'm a Senior Technical Product Manager at Amazon Web Services, where I lead connectivity initiatives in the AWS IoT organization. I will be your moderator today. Supporting LoRaWAN IoT applications is one of the service area that I cover at AWS. And today we have an exciting agenda. But before we get started, here are some housekeeping notes. I want to call out three things in particular. Number one, push F5 on your keyboard or refresh your page if your sound or video is lagging. Based on past experience, this usually resolves any issue. Number two, please submit your questions throughout the Q&A session, throughout the webinar, through the Q&A box on your screen. Our expert speakers will be answering them at the end of the webcast. Number three, an on-demand version of this webinar will be available approximately 24 hours after this webcast, and it can be accessed using the same webcast link. Without further ado, let's take a quick look at today's agenda. We have a panel of expert speakers who all come from industry-leading solution providers in the LoRaWAN market to showcase a variety of smart home and smart building applications using LoRaWAN technology. It ranges from indoor air quality monitoring, CO2 monitoring, smart thermostat to water leaks, and etc. We will also showcase several silicon offerings behind the successful LoRaWAN deployment product for smart home applications. Last but not least, at the end of the webcast, our speakers will answer the questions from you, so do not forget to submit your question throughout the session. A quick note about LoRa Alliance before we get started. LoRa Alliance is a global nonprofit alliance launched in 2015. The alliance develops and maintains the LoRaWAN standard, educates the market about LoRaWAN technology. The alliance also maintains a certification program. Great. Speaking of the LoRaWAN, the benefit of using LoRaWAN, it's a technology that is secure, that's energy efficient, which means it's ideal for low power applications where battery life can last as long as 10 to 15 years. And it also has a very flexible deployment options. It can be used for both indoor and outdoor locations. In particular, its ability to penetrate concrete and metal walls makes it especially suitable for smart home and smart building use cases. It can penetrate and reach places inside of a building that conventional Wi-Fi technology might not be able to. Smart home applications have exploded in recent years. In US alone, it is estimated that more than 60% of the households are expected to have smart home devices for applications like home automation, home management, or for keeping the house secure and safe. All right, so how can LoRaWAN help in the smart home use cases? And what have the industry done to help our customers? Now, let's welcome our first speaker, Chenny Lee, who is a Senior Business Development Manager from MileSite, who will talk about indoor air quality monitoring solution. Chenny, it's your turn.
Yeah. So I'm glad to be the first one to share the use case from my side. So the case I would like to share today is a classroom air quality monitoring project. So as we know, low air quality causes low productivity and health issues. So during COVID-19 pandemic, people were very concerned about indoor air quality, especially parents care about the environment where their children sit in the school. To provide students healthier learning environment, the Quebec government wanted to implement an indoor air quality monitoring system to detect CO2 level, temperature, humidity, and student present in classroom every 5 minutes. The system must be secure, easy to deploy and maintain. And the system cannot use the existing network in the school, which means we cannot use the Wi-Fi or any other network deployed in the school. Thanks to the low power and long range IoT technology LoRaWAN, which enables devices running on batteries up to 10 years or more, and a single LoRaWAN gateway can cover an entire school. So we can develop a wireless system integrated with MySight M107 sensor and UG65 LoRaWAN gateway and our partner software to meet all the requirements in this project. The project firstly started with 2 successful pilots. Then the government decided to scale to all the schools in Quebec province in August 2021. And all the schools were supposed to equip with this system by the end of 2021, which means 47,000 sensors and 2,600 gateways should be delivered and installed in all schools across in Quebec within 4 months. So that was a really big indoor air quality project within LoRaWAN ecosystem, and I think it's the largest one, but it's also a very, very big challenge for us. Especially, we were facing another big problem from the supply chain at that time. So we could not purchase enough components because of the global shortage of chip supply. So the problem was even bigger on the sensors as the volume is much larger. And so if we could not have enough components, we could not produce the sensors. But with the support from ST and advice from Semtech, we optimized the sensor design within with STM32 chip, and finally we delivered the sensors and gateways in about 5 months. So considering about Christmas holiday and Chinese New Year holiday, I'm proud to say it was a really big success, and a success with the support, help from the LoRaWAN ecosystem partners. So to make the system easy to implement, we designed it as a plug-and-play system, so the school staff can install the hardware and activate the system within a couple of minutes. So just like they're setting up their Wi-Fi router and the Wi-Fi plugs at home. So LoRaWAN can be easy, and you can also use LoRaWAN devices to make your home smarter. Besides air quality sensor, MySight also provides other devices like like the door window opening detection sensor, water leak sensor, light switch, and more. So let us know what devices you need to make your home smart. So, and if you are interested to know more details about the project I shared, just click the web link at the slide. So that's all I would like to share today. So next I go to David.
Thank you. So hello everyone, I am David from ELSYS of Sweden, and I would like to talk about batteryless sensor nodes for LoRaWAN. At ELSYS we've been making LoRaWAN sensors for about the past 8 years. All of them have been powered by primary lithium batteries. Now, as we all know, from an environmental aspect, they're not that great. They contain quite a lot of lithium, also rare earth metals, and the various toxic materials or substances. And also, once they have been used, they add to the ever-growing mountain of battery waste. A large proportion of them will end up in landfills. Also, the total weight of our sensors are largely made up by the weight of the batteries themselves. So this adds to transportation emissions and costs. And another downside with batteries is that they need to be physically installed either by the customer or by us in production. It's also possible that the batteries might need to be replaced in case the energy is depleted. And this also adds to the total cost of ownership. So we started looking at different energy harvesting solutions to get around these issues with batteries. And we settled on using indoor light, since for indoor air quality sensors, this is the most abundant energy source. And the result of this research is the Eco series of sensors. The sensor uses an organic printed solar cell from Epishine, which is also a Swedish company. The cell is optimized for indoor light. It's produced in a roll-to-roll process, which is far less energy intensive than conventional silicon solar cell production. And we've also made sure to have large enough capacitor energy storage so the device can keep running for up to 50 days in total darkness. For the LoRaWAN functionality, we've chosen the STM32WL series from ST. It has an integrated SX1260 series transceiver from Semtech. And this is what has enabled us to get low enough power consumption so that it's possible to use indoor light as the only energy source for the sensor. As for benefits of using LoRaWAN, well, part of it is in the name already. It's a long range. That's one thing. Also, the low power that is possible is crucial for an indoor energy harvesting sensor. And this low power also gives the ability to retrofit buildings with sensors, since no wiring is needed for power. So whether they are battery powered or, in the case of the Eco series, completely battery free, you can retrofit them in buildings. So this is our attempt at making an environmentally friendly sensor, which we at Elsys believe to be important, with more and more sensors being deployed around the world every single day. Thank you. So let's hear from Ljubomir from mClimate.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Well, my name is Ljubomir. I'm the CEO of mClimate. At mClimate, we make any building smart. But the product that I'm presenting you today, it's actually called Vicky LoRaWAN, and it's a smart radiator thermostat. The interesting thing about us is that we actually had a few years of experience in a smart home, but with Wi-Fi. With Bluetooth, with other technologies, but from a B2C perspective. And this allowed us to learn a lot on how the whole smart home market works. About, I think, 5-6 years ago, we decided that LoRaWAN is our next technology of choice. And our company slowly transitioned toward only LoRaWAN as a technology for our products. It is the case because obviously there are a lot of features about LoRaWAN that everybody loves. The long distance for communication, the long battery life. But the thing is that those features basically unlock new market opportunities, meaning that there are companies that come to us and say, hey, we've been trying to get up this business case off the ground for, let's say, 2 years. We've been using other technologies, but once we saw your LoRaWAN thermostat, now we finally can. And an example of this could be, for example, a utility company that does not want to go to every customer they have and change batteries, because that's simply not feasible if you do it every 2 years. The problem that we're solving with Wiki, it's at the core of buildings. Heating and cooling account for about 50% of the energy inside buildings. And actually buildings as a whole, they use about 40% of the energy, in the EU, and emit about 36% of the CO2. So addressing about half of those, this consumption, and also carbon footprint, it's a big thing for us. We decided to go forward with the implementation of LoRaWAN with an STM32. And we still haven't went to the WL version because of basically supply chain risk analysis, so to say. But we at the very beginning, we actually certified our own module, SX1272, which allowed us to actually use the same module in many devices. Thanks to LoRaWAN and those benefits that I mentioned, right now we have many partners that are rolling out local not partnerships, but rather businesses offering energy optimizations to, in many other cases, it's actually residential buildings. But one of the key benefits of LoRaWAN, in my opinion, because with LoRaWAN, I think the right path right now might be B2B, 2C, finally getting into the apartment, but somebody else, distributing, installing those devices. The big benefit is that for us is that nobody, from the end consumers in the residential buildings, actually have to, care about connectivity. We've been having so many issues with Wi-Fi connectivity that I cannot even begin to explain to you. But hey, yeah, that's Vicky. That's our smart radiator thermostat. And I pass it on to Remy.
Thank you, Liobo. My name is Remy Demerlet. I work at Semtech in corporate marketing to help the LoRa ecosystem here. I'm going to present the use case of Kairos company, one of our customers. Kairos is an American-based company with very smart solutions to prevent water leak and all the damage consequently to those leaks that can happen in different locations, in bathroom, but also in a water heater location or in the kitchen. They seem to be easy to detect. In fact, they are not, especially they happen when you're not there. That's a kind of fate. But also they are applicable for utilities, industries, commercial buildings. So the NOAA, that's the name of the Kairos product, is a multifunction leak sensor that you must have to equip your apartment or your commercial buildings. This device monitors presence of water. It's allowing also real estate, for example, to shift from a state or of reactionary repair and maintenance to a more proactive and preventative attitude. Kairos deployed LoRa detection tape that is attached to the sensor and connected to the local LoRaWAN network. Then, with notification, they report alerts of a possible water leak. A typical implementation is with 25 leak sensors in different apartments in one building. They can be monitored over 3 or more gateways, and then you can secure you have a full coverage. The device can allow, I would say, lifetime of 10 years or more. It's also excellent because of LoRaWAN radio to transmit through thick walls or different floors. It has been deployed, for example, in Ghirardelli Square in US, and Today, in just 18 months, 7,000 apartments have been equipped with such solution, preventing drastic catastrophe leaks. The solution is implementing SX1276 product of Semtech. It's on one module that Kairos is using for many devices. You can find more reference with the web link attached. And now, to continue with the presentation, I will hand over this to Boris from Brunata Zenerminol.
Yeah, thank you, Remy, and hello, everybody. So let me switch the chart. So my name is Boris Stöckermann, and I'm from Brunata Zenerminol Group. And I have the pleasure to introduce you today how you could simplify your smart home connectivity with LoRaWAN. And we already saw some examples from my colleagues from the other companies. So, you know, LoRaWAN, to all of you who is not really familiar with it, and if you are not a real technical expert, you might think, oh, this is too complex, this is very difficult to implement. And our aim is, and even my aim today is to show you how easy it could be that you could use IoT devices and sensoric stuff, what we just saw, very simple and easy, like you, as of today, using Wi-Fi for your environment. And everybody I'm talking to, everybody knows how to use Wi-Fi and what you are using it for, but most people can't explain how it technically works. And this was for us one of the main aims to when we started to develop the Center IoT plug-and-play with the aim that anybody can simply use LoRaWAN IoT technology for their different use cases. And what I brought with me today is some of the big solution portfolio that we are offering with this plug-and-play concept. And we already got some nice introduction on different use cases. Just Amy told us about a leakage detection thing. And I think it's worse if you have a leakage in your apartment and in your building. The damages are horrible and it's getting very expensive. So it would be very helpful to get very simply an alarm on your smartphone or on email, which tells you, oh, watch out, it looks like that there is a leakage in your bathroom, in your washing room, or somewhere else, because you have maybe a dripping on a water pipeline in the building. Another one is a smoke detection, where you want to have an alarm in the building, in your sleeping room, when a fire comes up and there's smoke is in the room, so you want to get an alarm. And it would be also helpful to know if a battery of your smoke detector is no longer properly working. So this could be easily implemented with LoRaWAN smoke detectors giving you alarm on this. We already heard also about solutions like we're implementing, we call them room monitoring or indoor climate. These are all use cases where you have, for example, the humidity of an indoor climate, temperature, air quality, like we heard with the CO2 example from Jenny, from mild side, what we heard. We also saw temperature control when you're doing room monitoring, it's temperature control. You could use this, for example, the wiki from Lubomir. And so this is only a very high level overview of different use cases. And the nice thing what we did is by using LoRaWAN, you can have one and the same system, and it's independent if this LoRaWAN technology comes from Zener or all the other members. So you can bring all together because the technology allows you to work with each other together. So how easy you can do this, and it's just an example from what we're doing, but we know there are several others in the market. So you just pick a gateway. You always need a gateway, which is the receiver for getting the notice of the devices. So all the sensors sending their information on a regular basis, or like in leakage detection, when there is a leakage alarm, the sensor detects the leakage and sends the alarm, and then the message goes via LoRaWAN to one of those gateways. And one of our gateways is a simple device which could be very easily just plug and play, put in a power supply, and the data from the gateway will be sent, for example, with a smartphone with Wi-Fi. but it's also possible to have this connectivity sent by an embedded SIM like we do with our indoor gateway or even with outdoor gateways. So the network, what we're doing, what you can leverage here is we implemented, just to give you a figure of how big this already is, in Europe, we only run already more than 70,000 of these gateways to have deep indoor coverage using LoRaWAN in more than 11 countries in Germany. And so what kind of devices? And I just mentioned the smoke detector, but of course we are also monitoring you as a customer and the system integrator or a potential partner, thinking of how can I use LoRaWAN and for what I can use it. It's not only for the smart home, but also for smart buildings. We heard about energy monitoring, consumption control, like we're doing for customers with heat consumption control, that you know how much do I spend on heating every single month, or how much water do I consume every month or week. And this, for this you easily can use LoRaWAN. And what you see here is a selection of many devices from us, but also you see devices from all members or different members of the LoRa Alliance. We already enable in our environment, which allows you just to pick a gateway, getting a connectivity included with the gateway, and you just choose the potential device, what measuring. For example, you see in the middle of the chart here, the LZIS CO2 sensor for multi-room sensors, you have door sensors, you have the Wiki, which Lubomir was introducing us. So all these devices independent from a vendor, and this is the great thing with LoRaWAN, it can all be in the same system and you're completely vendor agnostic. So you can pick from all the different vendors the specific device, and we just bring them into our system on your behalf, and you just need to plug them in and use it. And of course, you want to see how your sensors, for example, works. You want to have a report, a timeline report. You want to monitor, was there a motion in a specific room? You want to monitor if a certain temperature degree has been reached or not reached. For example, think about your fridge or fridging areas. You want to make sure that the humidity in specific rooms are kept under control. And of course, you want to get an alarm. So it's quite simple. The concept what we're offering is having a visualization platform, which is just easily can add onto it. And it's really simple to use. You don't need to be an IT expert to use all the benefits. And this is all about LoRaWAN using and simplifying your smart home connection. And the great thing, and all the members presenting today, all these great guys and companies developing these products and their solution to get on the same standard. And so you are interoperable with all these different products. So that's from my side. I want to hand over to Trey Johnson now from Quext.
Hi, everybody. I'm excited to talk to you today about a solution that serves smart buildings and smart apartments in the multifamily industry. And one of the key points that I'd like to bring up, and several of the other members on the panel here have brought up similar points of conversation, but it's really an interesting space because we're able to provide solutions that serve multiple different stakeholders. When you think of smart home, traditionally and typically, you would think of how that would impact the single family type resident living in their home and how they interact with their devices. But the interesting thing about the Quext IoT solution is that it services and provides benefit to the owners and operators of these properties. It provides benefits to those people that manage these apartment communities. And then even further, we provide and extend a lot of capability and functionality to the residents and tenants themselves. And so those three stakeholders have been identified in our space for some time, but the issue and challenge has been deploying these solutions onto a Wi-Fi network is very complicated and very expensive to do. And so it's generated this barrier to entry for many of the different apartment communities in the country and around the world certainly as well. And just for a point of perspective as well, like a lot of times solutions are geared towards single family use cases, but like certainly multifamily, at least in the United States, is outpacing single family construction, meaning people are more likely to live in apartments. And so I think that's why it's such an interesting opportunity for us to be able to leverage and deploy a solution in that space. So why would all of these various three stakeholders want to take part in these solutions? The operational efficiencies, the ability to create a very marketable and desirable feature to residents, generating resident retention. It also provides a way to provide ancillary income. This is the piece that's very attractive to those owners of said apartment communities. And then there's plenty of ESG initiatives for deploying these solutions in multifamily. And taking just a quick step or a quick dive deeper on some of these different things and benefits to the various stakeholders as part of this. You're able to increase the property value by being able to generate this ancillary revenue. You can reduce the capital costs with our solution because you don't have this dependence on Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is much more complicated and much more expensive to maintain. And I've got some other things about the Quex IoT solution, and by partnering with LoRaWAN and AWS both, we've been able to deliver and generate some pretty unique opportunities for those participating in our solution. Those operator efficiencies, you've heard some of the benefits from some of the other panelists in what these devices and smart buildings can do. Anything from efficiencies in HVAC to efficiencies in access control and saving on staff time, required to go and implement a lot of like lock changes and things like this. And then of course I also mentioned that it's an amenity-based solution and very desirable for residents to be able that live in these various apartment communities. So what is the Quex IoT solution, and how does LoRaWAN help us to provide such a unique opportunity? So inside of every single apartment community, instead of having to deploy this complicated Wi-Fi network, we're able to leverage one LoRaWAN gateway, and that serves as the ubiquitous network across the entire apartment community. And so it's very, very beneficial. So instead of having to come out and with network engineers and designers and having to do a site analysis and figure out what type of Wi-Fi is this? Is this a managed Wi-Fi? Is this bulk Wi-Fi? Is it resident provided Wi-Fi? And having to give all of those considerations and figure out how we're going to integrate the network to our solution. It just doesn't matter. The LoRaWAN is a great technology. It's long range and it layers over the top and alongside any solution that may exist for connectivity on a property. And so it's very scalable and very cost effective to that end. Now, here's another thing that Quex IoT has done to make smart apartment technology very, very unique in our space. And what we've done is we've created a patented smart thermostat that leverages LoRaWAN as the backhaul and serves also as the smart hub for that apartment unit, so that you don't have to have, if you have other LoRaWAN devices, that's great, but many apartment communities have already invested in other off-the-shelf devices, excuse me, leveraging technologies like Z-Wave or Zigbee or Bluetooth. And this gives options and it helps LoRaWAN sort of serve as a bridge into existing ecosystems, and that's something that we're pretty excited about with our custom smart thermostat solution that we have developed. And you can understand for a typical United States, at least, apartment community that has around 250 apartments, that would be 501 devices that would be needed to service that apartment community. It sounds like a lot, but when you consider a traditional Wi-Fi based approach and how that works, a similar type apartment community would leverage or have to use around 890 pieces of hardware. And so they're both big numbers, but simply said, like the more simple your solution is, the easier it is to maintain, because oftentimes these real estate apartment communities, they don't have technical staff on site that are able to service and understand and try to figure out how to maintain these IoT networks. And so by making this solution very simple, we're able to deploy a solution much more cost effectively and much more scalably than a lot of the competition that you may see out on the market today. And just very briefly, elaborating a little bit on what this device is that we've created. We leverage the the Simtech SX1262 in our solution. And partnering with AWS, we're a vertically integrated solution that leverages many of the AWS solutions from top to bottom, all the way up and down. And in particular, AICL, the Amazon offered LoRa network server, has been very crucial to our solution in helping us deploy a very reliable product and offering to our customers. And so with that, I'm going to conclude and pass it on to the next presenter.
Hello. So I'm back again to present now the implementation with a Semtech solution for LoRaWAN and devices. To explain you more in details, some people may sometimes confuse LoRa is a radio communication technology that Semtech maintains and developed since 2012. And we have now 3 generations of Semtech LoRa platforms, and they are used to enable LoRaWAN network protocol, which is specified by the LoRa Alliance. So here to explain these 3 generations are clearly proving maturity with improvements in performance, in consumption, but also in added features or more connectivity options. 3 generations, 2013, 2018, and 2020. What are the differences between those generations? The first generation, SX1272 and 76, are covering all the ISM radio spectrum, which allows to use LoRaWAN over different regions. Europe is using 868 megahertz, and then you can use the 1272. US is using 915 megahertz, and you must use the 1276, for example. So that's why you have different products to support different regions. There is a very good sensitivity already with minus 137 dBm, which combined with a power amplifier of plus 20 dBm, you have a link budget of 157 dB. In the second generation, we have improved a lot the link budget with a higher sensitivity. The SX1266 family bring here minus 148 dBm of sensitivity. So that offers also the benefit of additional link budget. You have also more sensitivity, so you can connect in longer distance. The additional advantage of the lower current consumption for reception, it's 4.6 milliampere against 10 in the previous generation. So it's a 50% improvement. This allows you to have longer lifetime in this new generation. The different products are designed to cover the different region again, but also they include the support of the LRFHSS, which are additional data rates available in LoRaWAN. They are all suitable for Europe with HC, North America with FCC, China, Japan, Brazil, and so on. Also, this second generation supports the fastest spreading factor using bit rate of 62.5 kilobits per second. The last and recent generation of LR1110, 1120, and 1121 introduce the support of geolocation service over LoRaWAN networks without need of GPS, which is very convenient for asset tracking, but also, for example, tracking goods or assets that are important for smart home applications, such as bags, scooters, pets, etc. With this new generation, we improved also the sensitivity with plus 3 dB, which means again, longer range or more penetration, or for example, additional penetration in the floors or other thick walls. So those, I would say, recent device, LoRa chip device, allows also the support of 2.4 gigahertz and satellite S-band connectivity, so additional connectivity options. All these LoRa products are designed to comply with the physical and layer requirements of LoRaWAN released by the LoRa Alliance. Now, how do you design an end device with those chips? You need to combine in one design the support of the communication part, that means the LoRaWAN communication stack, and on the other end, the customer application. Here, the choice of the microcontroller is crucial. In the context of a smart home market, where you have continuous changes, introduction of new technologies, but also fast cycles of product, you need to increase not only the architecture, but also the performances and additional features. So this flexibility is crucial for the smart home market. This is why an open choice of microcontroller and high scalability toward different memories, flash, etc., can be crucial for success. Support of evolution can require more intelligence at the edge of the network. That means more intelligent devices. An example can be, for example, pattern recognition for alarm detection, or also better analysis of acoustic. Such device for smart home application may conduct to a choice of higher CPU. There is also the need, for example, to support other connectivity interface. Typically, in the future, if you want to apply to some other ecosystem with Matter, you will need Bluetooth, for example, to be added to your device. So Semtech here offers an open choice and capacity to have a product for any region where LoRaWAN can be used. There is an additional, we say, framework that is made available by Semtech. That's the LoRa Basics modem. It's a software framework. It's available on GitHub, where you can find the code for the LoRaWAN stack. And you can find also the SDK to support development. The key advantage of such framework is you can migrate easily from one to the other. For example, here you could have a first development of a smart device for asset tracking using LR1110, and then you could want to develop temperature or light controller sensor for smart home, and you may use SX12C6. But still, you can use the LoRa Basics modem and reuse part of your code you develop. So it makes simpler the migration. It makes also simpler the integration of other features, and potentially to a benefit of LoRa Cloud services that Semtech provides. The LoRa Cloud services include geolocation service over LoRaWAN network and joint server service to manage the network session keys. LoRa Basics modem is again available on GitHub. It's open, it's free, it's available for all developers. To continue with the support we provide to the existing ecosystem, we have a LoRa developer portal where you can learn how to use LoRaWAN. There is an academy for LoRaWAN. You have hands-on labs when you can practice. You have access to network server for free. And you have also additional resources that help you to get latest release of the technical features, solution. You can have case studies, available documentation, and you can profit from the forum of developers. That's why all these solutions are, I would say, contributing to the success of your development, not only the chip, but all the support to the developers. I am now handing over to Anisette from ST to continue.
Hello everyone. So my name is Anissé Giaimo. I am product marketing manager at ST Microelectronics, and I am in charge of the ST sub-gigahertz product lines. Because in ST we are providing actually the key ingredient for developers to design wireless application. And more specifically, for LoRaWAN application, we have created a system on chip called the STM32WL. So in this presentation, I will show you the benefit of this device and of its ecosystem for smart home application. So first, why do we call this a system on chip? This is because it integrates in a single chip both the radio to enable LoRa modulation and an ultra-low power MCU to run the application, and so the LoRaWAN stack. And that's a full all-in-one solution. So what are the benefits of this system on chip for smart home application? So let's have a look. First, it's about long battery life, because battery-powered sensors in home and buildings need for great autonomy. We have seen today use case like the one of MileSight operating from a single battery for 10 years, and LSIS with the energy harvesting application. And for such applications, so they benefit from the STM32WL current consumption, both at the MCU side that provide low power mode, and at the radio side with the use of the dual power amplifier that has a low power PA that can go up to plus 15 dBm. Another important requirement for smart home is about the robustness of the RF link. And here, sensitivity and power output need to be strong enough to penetrate through the walls. So the STM32WL provides great sensitivity thanks to the LoRa modulation, and it has also the capability to use the power amplifier in a long-range mode that can go up to plus 22 dBm. So then it can go through the wall, reach the next door, reach the garden, reach the basement or the upper floor. The STM32WL contributes also to the reduction of the form factor of smart home devices. It can reduce the PCB size, reduce the bill of material, and so that lead to more integration and better cost. Then we have full versatility, because developers need a flexible device to support legacy network and different frequency regulation. So that's why the STM32WL architecture is fully open and can be easily programmed to support multiple modulation and a wide range of frequencies. Last but not least, it's about security, because house is a private area, so user data must be protected. And for that, the STM32WL provides hardware encryption and a key management services. It can also isolate the wireless stack from the application stack in order to provide even more safety. Another way to simplify even further the PCB design of our customers is what we released in March this year. We released a brand new device, a companion device made for the STM32WL. This is an integrated passive device, an IPD. And that can be used to reduce the number of components between the WL and the antenna. As you can see here, the IPD integrates the balloon component, the filters, and the matching network. And this in just 3 mm square, so really small footprint. On top of the footprint benefits, having an IPD is also a way to simplify the hardware design. It has been already tuned to achieve the best performance of the STM32WL, so it can optimize the RF performance. It increased also the system integration, and it improved the reliability both during manufacturing and in operation. So how to start with our IPD? First, you can select among the 9 IPDs according to your needs. According to your needs in terms of frequency regulations, WL package, PCB layers, and here you can select the IPD that you need. Then, when it's about developing the application, you can get access to schematics and layout and firmware based on our STM32WL reference designs that are available online. If you just want to start your smart home application right now and you want to start to make a quick prototype or to do a proof of concept, this is really simple. You just need 2 things. You need our evaluation board, the STM32, the Nucleo WL55, where you can have all the components in order to have the product working. And you need to download the STM32Cube that provide all the tools you need to generate the code, to program the device, and to monitor the application. On top of that, we have also the software package that is providing that include the LoRaWAN stack. And here you have 2 different flavors. For application requiring high security level, you can leverage from the dual architecture of the STM32WL55 and have an hardware isolation between the application firmware and the radio stack in such a way that the radio stack will not have any impact on the application and the application will not impact the radio stack as well. If you want to use the single core version of the product, the STM32WL E5, you can have both the application and the radio stack running on the same core. Well, another part of this STM32CubeWL package is the firmware update over-the-air solution. Firmware updates are necessary to add new functionality on the field or to correct the firmware and also to improve the customer experience. And having it over the air make it suitable for massive fleet updates in buildings, for example. It can also work with network server like AWS, Activity, and it leverages from the STM32WL security, thanks to the secure boot, the root of trust, and the secure firmware update. So here is the last slide that I wanted to show with a global overview of the STM32WL and its ecosystem, starting from the really early stage of the project with the trainings, the wiki page that shows the LoRaWAN technology, and the software package, the hardware package, and all the tools that I showed just before with programming, monitoring, and the development tools. So now I will give back the control to Andrew for the conclusion of this webinar and the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks all the speakers for sharing your great product and service offering that leverages LoRaWAN for smart home use cases. There's a lot of investment already being made, and we're excited to see how this product can help our customers make their homes and buildings more automated, more efficient, and safe. And of course, we'd like to thank LoRa Alliance for organizing this webinar. Joining the LoRa Alliance will help you collaborate with LoRa companies, accelerate the time to market for your product, boost your brand, and turbocharge your marketing activities. The Alliance can also help you grow your business by being an integral part of the LoRaWAN community. To join the LoRa Alliance, use the button on the screen below to learn how to do that. And now we come to the last part of this webinar, the Q&A session. In this part, I will read the questions submitted through the webinar and prompt our experts for answers. This concludes our presentation. Thanks for our panel of speakers. Now comes the Q&A session, and our panel will answer your questions based on the priority that we have set. But do not worry, if we do not answer your questions directly, we will follow up, and our panel will help answer them offline as well. So the first question we'd like our panel to answer is about the LoRaWAN application in the multifamily apartment buildings. And the question is what type of sensors other than leak detection can be deployed that also have building owners? Are there sensors that help with heating, cooling, electrical, or preventive maintenance? Please answer specifically on cost saving, as environmental impact is a separate topic. And now have Trey from Quext help answer this question. Trey,
Yes.
if you want to. Yep.
Happy to step in here. So whenever it comes to answering this question, we often like to think of what problem are we trying to solve? And there's many operational efficiencies that can be garnered in the multifamily space. Thermostats and HVAC control, managing lights and like when they're supposed to turn on and off. Of course, the locks from like a labor savings, and that I mentioned that a little earlier in my presentation. Even more recently, parking sensors, air quality. All of these types of devices can be used holistically to try to accomplish specific objectives that help save property owners money.
Great. The next question is likely for Boris about a smart home. It's about this for smart home houses. Why choose LoRaWAN over Z-Wave, Zigbee?
Yeah, I think it was twofold question. One was dedicated, sorry, for Zenner. If it's Zenner available in the US, yes, it is available. But unfortunately, actually, the meters we're having from Zenner, so water meters and all the other meters with LoRaWAN, what I introduced in this session with the Zenner gateway and the network with this plug and play concept, this actually is only available in Europe. So we're expanding it across Europe. We're having 11 countries actually live, but actually this is not available in the US. We're actually working on this, but Zenner is coming with their products to the US actually. And there's another one coming in for which device, if there's a limitation on the products which are supported by our gateways, there's no limitation as long as it's a LoRaWAN standard product. So if there's a device, so this makes the solution quite open. So as you all know, and as we introduced here, is that as long as the LoRaWAN sensors from any manufacturers are developing their products under the standards of LoRaWAN, and in best case they are certified with LoRaWAN, then all these sensors will be supported. So it's possible to also integrate independently sensors from all other manufacturers into our system. I think that was the core question from Arnaud Joubert and from Convenia. Back to you.
Thanks, Boris. The next question will invite Lumir to answer the questions about for smart houses. Why will we choose LoRaWAN over Z-Wave or Zigbee? And the trade-off between LoRaWAN and BLE for smart home applications, as well as can you talk about LoRaWAN duty cycle effects the devices or sensors? Lumir.
Sure, Andrew. Thank you very much. Just in the beginning, I'm going to also add something to the multifamily apartment buildings, because this is something that we work on with many partners. The truth is, you can deploy a lot of types of solutions there. Anywhere from heating to pest control to water metering, which is super important and super relative to Europe. But I think the main thing, and I want to couple this answer with the question of number 16 of Elia. Basically, when you use LoRaWAN, you get first very long battery lifetime, and second very good penetration through the building itself. So typically companies that are already inside the building in some way, LoRaWAN to them, it's like a key, so they can start offering new services as well. Like for example, as Zener do with the smoke detectors in Germany. So as I answered in the question, there are many differences between Zigbee and Z-Wave. LoRaWAN in the smart home domain is kind of the new kid on the block. I think that primarily first, like the do-it-yourself community will pick this up. But as I said, two very big advantages. First, the range, and second, the battery. And LoRaWAN, you must understand that it's designed for various applications, like for outdoor communication, but also for indoor. And in indoor communication, it's super relevant because it uses just so little amount of energy. And then about the duty cycle, you can imagine first the duty cycle is applicable to the EU band, but you can imagine that the duty cycle is like a rule. You should speak only 1% of the time, meaning that if it takes 1 second to transmit a message, and let's say in a smart home environment, it's actually, let's say 100 or 50 milliseconds. But let's use the example of 100. You have to not transmit the next 990 milliseconds, which means 1% of the time you're able to talk. But if you're transmitting just a low amount of data, you can talk pretty frequently and not disturb the duty cycle. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Lumir. Since we're almost out of time, let's take 2 more questions. The next one, I'll invite Remy to discuss the general LoRa versus LoRaWAN, because we see several questions in that line. Remy.
Yeah, so thank you, Andrew. As we have an history, LoRa was started in 2012. It's today a technology that is very matured and allowed to use the LoRaWAN protocol. So LoRa is a radio modulation that's the PHY layer that you need to transmit and receive messages. To connect with the LoRaWAN network, you need a LoRaWAN software stack that is open, that is standardized by the ITU, that's available on GitHub. So any developer can, with a LoRa transceiver, can integrate the LoRaWAN stack on a microcontroller of ST, for example, and then get a full LoRaWAN solution. Beside the LoRaWAN end devices, exist some LoRa proprietary devices or LoRa proprietary deployment. They are not interoperable with LoRaWAN. They are, I would say, made for different purpose, different reason, maybe by history, maybe for also other reasons. Anyway, today what is important, take certified LoRaWAN end devices and you will be sure it will work with any LoRaWAN network server and operator.
Thanks, Remy. The next question is likely for Boris. We have a question about Zener offered 24 months of the application for free for 50 devices and the pricing thereafter. Boris, and you can also help answer the question about maximum device capacity of that NS.
Yeah, concerning the offer what I was introducing, so it's the gateway coming with 24 months net usage for up to 50 devices. So the price for the net usage for the network service already integrated in the gateway. So after the 2 years, you're able, and this will be announced with the 1st of June, you can order then the expansion or the prolongation of this offer only for every 12 months. By also up to 50 devices. So this will be in a range about 60 euros. And the same, so if you want to have more than 50 devices initially, you easily can add these additional usage for the network. So it's always 12 months and 50 devices in an average of 60 euros. Maybe about the question which came in from Kevin regarding the maximum device capacity of any LNS. So this is a very broad one, but I just want to make sure. So I think I showed you the figures. So actually, we are running one single network with one LNS, which we actually running more than 5 million end devices. And the plan, what we're doing is we will come up to 10 million end devices with one single network. So in a normal environment, so there should be any issue regarding any device capacity of any LNS. So I know that TTN is running a network with more than 1 million devices in as the things industry, so industry customers. I don't know if this is a single one, but ours is already covering more than 5 million devices. So normally there shouldn't be any issue with the number of devices. We're giving back to you, Andrew.
Thanks, Boris. I think while we have not answered all of the questions, but due to the time limitations of our session today, we'll wrap up. And for the remaining questions, we will sift through the list and have the panel answer offline. Overall, thanks everyone for joining the webinar today. It was great to talk about how LoRaWAN can be used for smart home and smart building applications. We're looking forward to more such sessions in the future with the audience. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, and bye, everybody.
Thank you.